Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Q Lads channel. We are back with more URC action. This one, another South African derby. Stormers taking on the Sharks. And these points up for grabs today could be very important in the scheme of things for the URC competition. As you can see, the Stormers forever trying to catch up with Leinster, who have somehow managed to get 14 wins in a row for this URC season, although they are heading to South Africa relatively soon. So who knows if that win streak will continue. But the Stormers sitting there in second on 54 points. The Sharks in seventh on 40. So a win here would put them above the Bulls, maybe for only a few hours up until the Bulls play the Lions. But this would be a massive win for the Sharks to be able to get. They'll be on the road, away from home, tough conditions, as this Cape Town Stadium certainly will be going for their home side. And speaking of their home side, the Stormers, they are going to be as follows: Alistair Vermaak, Joseph de Weber, and Johan Nedeling Fouché as the front row. Ernest van Reenen at number 4, and then Ruben van Heerden starting in at number 5. Dion Forrie, Ben Dixon, and Marcel Tennyson will be the loose forward trio, hoping to get the job done up against the Sharks 6, 7, and 8. Looking through at the back line, Paul de Vet at 9, Mani Lebok at 10. Big opportunity for him once again. Been left out of that Springbok training squad, so perhaps still has something to prove, and this could be the game that he is able to do it. Then it is Dan du Plessis at number 12, Ruan Nel at 13, Sanatla out on one wing, David's out on the other, and Clayton Blomekis starting in at number 15. Then looking through at the Sharks starting lineup, it will be Blue in the front row with Mbatha and also Jacobs. Then it will be Van Heerden at number 4, Gubran Grula does slot in as the number 5. So they still do not have their Springboks, the likes of Bongyum Banambi, Eben Etzebeth, Nosia Khaleesi in the loose forward trio. Hugo Finta slots in at 6, Vincent Tachuka at 7, and then it will be Notche at number 8. Grant Williams and Kerwin Bosch will make up the 19 combo. Then it is Ransi van Rensburg at number 12, Putgaita on his outside, Apalele Fasi on one wing. There are rumours that he might be making his way to the Stormers at some stage in the near future. Werner Koch out on the other wing, and Biota Chamberlain at number 15. Looking through at the chat, we have got 12 is out for the Stormers, says Gregor Galway. Also, that means that they haven't got Ransi van Rensburg. In fact, no, that will be the other side. That will be Dan du Plessis missing. Do you know what's happened to him, Gregor? In terms of injury, I assume something to do with some sort of warm-up injury there. And hi, Hamish. I do see me come to the live stream, says Brandon. I see you here too, Brandon. Let's go. I'm dead right now. But how are you typing, Brandon? That is the bigger question. And I will go the Stormers with 30 points, says Johannes. Looking through at the Stormers bench, Coetzee, Harris, and Sunday. Then it will be Evans and Engelbrecht, the two other forward replacements. Herschel Yankees, Ngume Zulu, and Hudson-Berg. Although by the sounds of it, one of those two more than likely will find themselves in the starting lineup rather than the injury. So no, it's not a warm-up injury. He's just out completely. Do you know what's happened to him, Gregor? Or is he just missing from this contest? For the Sharks, it will be Kieran van Veeren at number 16, Machuno and Sadi. Then Labaskakri and James Fenter. Pepsi Butalazy, so they've gone with the 6-2 split here. Cameron Wright at 7 and Yapinke at number 23. And the Stormers with 33, says Stefan. So even higher than the 30 points. It seems like a lot of people back in the home side to be able to do great things here. And I guess with the Sharks, they're almost, you'd say, the walking wounded to a certain extent, not having all of those talented Springboks that they normally have in the starting lineup. Whereas the Stormers have got quite a similar lineup to what they'd normally go with. Yes, they haven't got Damian Willemse. Yes, they haven't got Steven Kitsoff. The rest of their side, pretty much stock standard for what the Stormers have used throughout this year to be able to continue winning games. They've won 10 so far, not dead, but I just did and tried, says Brandon. So you're not dead, but you just did. Okay. I think I'm starting to work it out. But the Stormers, they have got a strong lineup at home. Do let me know your score predictions. I see someone saying Stormers by 30, another saying Stormers by 33. Does anyone feel that the Sharks have a fighting chance in this contest, or do we feel could be quite a one-sided affair? But anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We do cover plenty of the URC on the channel. which is kind of ironic because I'm about to say we aren't covering the Bulls versus Lions game that has taken place just a little bit later on tonight. That is no other reason than it starts at 3:45 a.m. New Zealand, and we've got a nice 9 a.m. start tomorrow morning with the Sevens. So I did decide I probably need some sleep at some stage throughout the day, but it is going to be the Sharks kicking off from right to left, and the URC now back underway. Bosch kicks it high. Nicely taken by Clayton Blomekes inside of the Stormers 22. So Paul de Vet going to be recycling this one across to Johan Nedeling for share. And look, I just very tired, says Brandon. Well, perhaps, Brandon, you should consider sleeping. End of the day, sleep is more important than a late night rugby game. As much as it's hard to prove to myself, seeing as I do quite a few of these late night games, it is still important that you get in your sleep as well. Good clearance from Paul de Vet there. And the DHL Stadium is a sure guarantee that the boys in blue will win, says Stefan in there as well. Talking about Paul de Vet, big opportunity for him starting in this side rather than having Herschel Yankees. Will be coming off the bench a little bit later on, but they've also got some real talent. Ngume Zulu, I believe he is going to be starting at number 12. That's going to be thrown in. The Sharks able to win that line out, I should say. The replacement, number 12, they have gone with Ngume Zulu rather than Dan Duplessis, who was going to be there. That will be the penalty in favour of the Sharks there. I believe Chamberlain ended up giving away that one. Still early on in this match. Looks like the sun's out. It's a beautiful afternoon. Yeah. In South Africa. And quite an early game, if I'm not wrong. It must be 2:30, somewhere along there. Unfortunately for Clayton Blomekes, did not quite get that one into touch. And now the ball is bouncing loose. Advantage for the Stormers after the little knock on. Van Heerden wrestled down to the ground, and another penalty goes the way of the Stormers. Quick cat. Oh, Paul de Vet wanted to take it quickly, but AJ Jacobs just not quite on the mark quick enough. And Paul de Vet looks disappointed, especially 5 was penalised for that one. So that is Gerber Grobbler just getting in a little bit more trouble than any of the other players on his side. Okay, Marnie Lebok trying to decide what penalty they want. It was either going to be a scrum from the far side of the field, or it was going to be a Marnie Lebok penalty kick from about, I'd say, 57 metres out, which is why they have decided to go for the corner. Gabriel said it is 2:32 in South Africa. So quite an early game. Although I guess we're starting to get more and more used to that for these South African matches, but it's a great way to spend an afternoon heading down to the rugby, watching 2 South African sides do battle on the field. Quite a few other URC matches taking place later on tonight. Leinster going to be in action up against Edinburgh. We did see a high-scoring affair between Munster and it was the Scarlets, 49 points to 42. Almost a try every 5 minutes or so. In fact, maybe even higher. Nice run there. Almost through for Angelo Jacobs, but he has been taken down. Angelo Davids, I meant there. AJ Jacobs blowing the whistle again, though. I believe might have been just a tad forward, they've said in the end. And Big Love Chat, or Big Love Hamish, won't be too active in the chat, but I'll be listening to the commentary whilst lurking. Much appreciated as always. There's Sebastian there, and it is good to have you here, mate. You are enjoying your afternoon on a Saturday. I believe it would be for you in Romania. Now, looks like the penalty, they have actually gone back for the original offside call. Morning all, says Pizza Blaze. Welcome in. And hi, Sebastian, says Brandon. And a draw is Gabriel's prediction what the score will be in this contest. Tell you what, there's a possibility. These 2 sides can be pretty even at times. And, I mean, it could go either way. Now, Money Libok kicks it into touch 5 metres out now from the Sharks line. Stormers looking to strike first in this contest. Yeah, like I mentioned, we won't be covering the next game between the Lions and the Bulls, mainly because we will be sleeping during that time. But we have got the nice early morning starts for the Sevens that are coming up in the near future. Ernest van Vrenen now manages to find that offload away to Paul de Vet. Now Money Lebok goes off to Ngume Zulu, the first receiver for the Stormers. And wrestle backwards as well. Now around the side of the breakdown. Good work from Ben Jason Dixon. Apparently the Stormers. This is about 5 phases all in less than a minute. It's going to be a cross kick attempt from Mani Lebok. Nicely taken by Apalele Fassi. Does call for the mark. How are you, mate? Good news, says Brandon. Yeah, what? There's a lot of sport coming up in the near future. The next 24 hours, we have got John Jones versus Cyril Gahn. Sorry, that will be a very entertaining fight. Dricus du Plessis, the South African, going to be in action, which I'm sure a lot of you guys will be watching very closely. See how he does end up doing up against Derek Brunson. It's actually going to be his opposition for that one. Some people might know Brunson as a man who got knocked out by Israel Adesanya, Kiwi representative. And Stormers 30, Sharks 30, says Gabriel Smith. Also in the chat, do let me know who you guys think will be the first player to score a try in this match. I have a good feeling it's probably going to be Sanatla for the Stormers. Amani Lebok, short ball there to Angelo Davids. I'll shut down again. Paul DeVert tried to use it quickly. I think that's going to be a legal turnover. He's asking for the penalty, but the Sharks will end up with the ball now. Good little bit of hustle there in the breakdown. Now Kerwin Bosch back in the pocket. Will kick it back. Down the middle of the field. Nicely taken. I am Mani Lebok. Considered going to Blomakis, but then goes for the kick instead for him to chase. It's going to be well taken by Chamberlain. Sharks back into the possession again. Grant Williams into the pocket. Kerwin Bosch now looking for the 50-22. I don't think he struck it the way that he wanted to, though. And we'll set up now for Sanatla. Inside of his own 22 now, runs it out. Trying to go around. Ransi van Rensburg being shut down straight away. Ruan now. Not a lot of space out on the wing, and the Sharks. Seems to be the early tactic. Is getting that breakdown. Turn the ball over. And Herschel Yankees, says Gabriel Smith. He's actually going to be coming off the bench. And this one, Gabriel. And come on, the Sharks. Says Gareth, and how good have the New Zealand women's sevens been? Yeah, winning 60-0 over Colombia, definitely a good result for them, but I think it was their other game that really helped them out big time. I will mention that they will be taking on Fiji tomorrow morning at about 8 a.m. I don't believe we're going to be covering that one on the channel, unless something drastic changes. Yeah, more than likely we will be sleeping at that stage. Seems like a bit of a trend starting to form, isn't it? What do they decide now for the Sharks, I believe? What happened here for the penalty? I believe it was actually, just hands on the ball. Brilliantly done by the Sharks to be able to get that turnover in the breakdown. I believe it was against Fezambata. Didn't quite get it right. Oh, sorry, it was in favour of Fezambata. Now Kerwin Bosch looking to add 3 points onto the board for the Sharks, give them an early lead in this contest, which would be possibly an important 3 points. Every single point will be crucial. They say the first distance is 57 metres for Kerwin Bosch. Not exactly a warm-up kick for him. Probably right on the edge of the range for Bosch. How well was he striking them when it was before the matchup? That's a big question. That's not 57 metres out. That's like 40 on the angle. Someone's got the wrong statistic up there, but this should be a nice, easy kick for Kerwin Bosch. Yep, straight over. Distance, no worries at all. It was only 37 rather than 57. And Kerwin Bosch now gives his Sharks team the lead, 3 points to nil after 8 minutes. That's a fancy hat. A Sharks fin made out of styrofoam. I feel like that is something we should have for the Tasman Marcos here in New Zealand. A little bit of merchandise going for the teams. The Stormers now going to be kicking off this one in the form of Mani Lebok. He might consider going long here. Get plenty of height on it, looking straight into the sun there. Well taken by Vincent Tachuku. Drop to a knee. Be able to claim it. Dion Fori thought that ball was out the back. The referee says no. Grant Williams now goes across to Kieran Van Veeren, a man who scored a majority of his tries off a rolling maul. Isn't afraid to go for a bit of a run in the outfield as well. Now Grant Williams puts up the box kick. It'll be a territory battle between these two sides early on in the contest. Clayton Blomakis, though, starting to get a bit of territory going for the Stormers. Paul DeVet forward pass out to Sabelo Sanatla. It was forward by about a metre. And the referee already having to tell Nordshed not to yell at him. He saw it clearly. Vincent Tachuka slightly claiming that one with his good take off the kickoff. Paul DeVet just straight out in front. It didn't help that Sinutla was in front of Paul DeVette when he did throw the pass. Slightly ended up giving it away just a tad. The Sharks, I feel like if they can get themselves an early try here, get that 10-point lead, that could be quite massive. Back weight's 874 kgs for the Sharks, 868 for the Stormers, so just a tad lighter. Both in one front row, it is Vermaak, also Joseph Weber and Johan Niddling Fouché in the other. Dian Blula, also Fezembata and Hanru Jacobs. It's the opportunity at number 3. Now putting the ball in. Big push from the Stormers. Somehow the ball bounces out in their favour. Kerwin Bosch tries to boot it on the left-hand side. Looks like it might set up here. Good bit of work from Ransi van Rensburg to be able to chase it hard. Feels that he might have been taken out off the ball. Other Stormers, though, they've ended up with this in their possession. Mani Libok. Nice wide pass out to Ruan now. Angelo Davids was a little bit further in off his wing, allowing Nell to see what he could do out wide. Stormers now 45 metres out from their own line. Libok goes across again to Ngume Zulu, a late inclusion into this lineup because of Dan Duplessis missing. Clayton Blomakis just throws the ball into touch. He thought that Sinutla was out there. Sinutla was on his inside. And Blomakis can do nothing but just sit there going, whoops. Good morning. Amy up just in time. How's my Stormers, says Spider Mick? A little bit slow starting in this match, which is something we don't often say about the Stormers. Normally they start off extremely fast and extremely accurate, but in this game, a little bit slower. The heat looks like it's pretty warm there at the moment, but I'm sure they'll start to find their rhythm at some stage soon. Okay, it's an accidental offside there for the Sharks at line-out time, so now the Stormers will get the scrum feed. Hi, any other live stream on today, says Greg. So it depends on what you consider today, because the next one that we have got is in about 8 hours' time, and that will be the start of our Sunday here in New Zealand. So we have got the matchup taking place between Fiji and Great Britain. That will be at 9:42 a.m. Then at 10:26 a.m. it is Argentina versus South Africa. And then we've got New Zealand Samoa at 11:13. Bit of a break, maybe a women's quarterfinal thrown in there somewhere along the way. And then depending on how all the other matches of the sevens end up going, we may have a couple ninth place quarterfinals, but we've also got Super Rugby Pacific and then some more quarterfinals for the men's coming up later on today. I hope so, says Botomic. Now Paul Levette about to feed the ball in for the Stormers. On in nicely, a little bit of a wheeling scrum there from the Sharks. They will be penalised for it. I believe Blula on that far side went straight down. Skill that a lot of the props have nowadays in all divisions, all competitions, is to just shake your head when you've been penalised in a scrum. So to say you have no idea why, that's what you do. You shake your head and make everyone go, oh, maybe you didn't mean to. One's going to be kicked downfield, 10 metres out from the line. Or in fact, now moving back to 15. Stormers with their first attacking opportunity of the day. And they'll certainly be trying to make the most of it. How's our Seven Sisters doing? They have won both of their matchups so far, so they are doing very well. They should find themselves going through to the quarterfinals relatively comfortably. And I believe they'll be facing off against either the third place of one group or the third place of the other, I believe it is. Yeah, we will be keeping you updated. I know that they are playing up against the Fijians tomorrow morning. That would be at 8:06 a.m., which might be a little bit early for ourselves. Now 5 metres out from the line. Stormers once again going to have this ball available. Paul DeVette dropping his head there. There's going to be Tennyson just getting slapped around on the ground. There were pretty much knees and ankles and all sorts going into him. Now Mani Libok been taken down by Johan Niddling Fouché. And yes, you heard that correctly. They're on the same team, but he got tackled by him. Now around the side with the pick and go. Stormers trying to cause extra pressure here, and there's another penalty advantage against the Sharks. Paul DeVette to Mani Libok. Now Blomakis gets it off to Ngume Zulu, and the late inclusion scores the first try for the Stormers. And that will be the first of possibly many that they are able to get throughout this matchup. Of course, chasing a bonus point in every fixture that they play. They will need 4 or more tries. And the Sharks, they'll be after the same. So I expect this game to speed up now that we've seen that first try. There'll be less territory played and a lot more running rugby between these two South African sides. And it looks like Cape Town has certainly turned up for this matchup. Quite a few people in attendance to witness this match. But Blomake's found the offload. I think Kerwin Bosch just got set up badly. He got sat in no man's land, waiting for that pass to happen, and he was about 2 meters back further than he should have been. Yeah, Zulu dry, says Spider Mick. Now making the score 5 points to 3. Favor of the Stormers, Money Libok. The league's top point scorer with 134 is a stat that they've just shown us there. So taking them over quite nicely, and it just shows that the Stormers, they have had a lot of extra points on the board due to Money Libok's kicking. The fact that Leinster, who are sitting at number 1, do not have that, I guess just shows that they are also rotating between either having Sexton, Byrne, Frawley, all those other 10 options. That kick, oh no, we jinxed him. It's unsuccessful, the kick. And now 5 points to 3. The Stormers do lead. But yeah, you can see Kerwin Bosch knew that he got that wrong. Himself at some stage throughout this matchup. Now, kicked just the 10 metres, almost a tactic we saw in the Cape Town Sevens when it was taking place. The kick at 10 metres and try and retain it. Didn't work out that time for the Sharks, but I like the ingenuity that they are trying. Up in Lelefasi in the breakdown, Dion Fori goes right in off his feet, and the penalty will go the way of the Sharks. In fact, it might have actually been Angelo Davids that time who was the man penalised. He looks unhappy. Who's he angry at? He's the one who fell over. He looked very angry, the winger. He's not happy at all. Maybe it was because he felt that he had to do that because the forward wasn't there. Perhaps that's what he's grumpy about. Apelele Fassi, great work under the high ball. You see, Davids, he can't. Is he angry because he got pushed over the ball by Ruben van Heerden, his teammate? Maybe. He's conceded so far 3 against the Sharks, 2 against the Stormers. Now Fizambata on for the throw. Nicely stolen by the Stormers. Poldevic gets it back to Money Libok. Now Ngume Zulu puts the boot high. And looks like it will go out about 30 metres out from the Stormers line. Sharks still with a good attacking opportunity here. Already had 17 and a half minutes of this matchup. It is certainly flying by, as it always does when two South African sides go head-to-head. But this is not the only South African derby that will be taking place today. There's also Lions versus Bulls. That is at 3:45 a.m. New Zealand time. We might watch the first half from bed, but more than likely by the second half, my eyes will be well and truly closed. Trying to get the turnover there. Dion Fourie unsuccessful. Someone's just been tackled off the ball. I believe it was Fezambata. There is going to be another penalty advantage now, and they will go back for it. Nice, easy 3 points for the Sharks if they want it, and that would end up with them in the lead. I think that's what Gerbrand Robela was actually saying as well. They said that Marius Jonker actually in charge of that one, the TMO. The tackle off the ball. Kerwin Bosch asking for the kicking tee. Like I mentioned, this will give them a 1 point lead. Yeah, no, that was nowhere near the ball. Johan Niling Foucher, I think he forgot to look up, see if the man actually ended up with the ball that he was going for. Did you watch the Ryan or the Rugby League St Helens against Leeds Rhinos? I didn't know how Leeds won. They won with the drop goal in the last second of the game. The thing is, that was actually a game that was on the original schedule for us that we were possibly going to cover. I didn't end up doing it, and now I kind of regret it. If it was 25 points to 24, would have been an absolute thriller down to the wire for that one. Kerwin Bosch now. Have to line up this kick. And goes down the middle, so that will make the score now 6 points to the Sharks, 5 to the Stormers. The away side do manage to take the lead back. That woman is running up and down the steps, which is very much committed because it's a hot day at the moment over there. In fact, we're going to do a quick Google. What is the temperature in Cape Town? 23 degrees. And it's partly cloudy. I'd assume it's a little bit humid at the moment there as well, perhaps. Nicely taken by Vincent Chichuka, trying to break through the defensive line by Vermaak and Van Heerden, driving backwards. Grant Williams has been told to use it. Roll it back a little bit further, and now we'll put up the high kick. That one looks like it's not going to be finding touch. In fact, that one's hardly going to go outside of the 22. Grant Williams taps it back to Gerbera Robela. Stolen. And that is a brilliant try for Ben Jason Dixon off the mistake of Grant Williams. The ball just sat up for him. And that was very poor from the Sharks. Massive mistake. Who was it that just went for that wide cutout pass for the Sharks? I think it was actually Manus Putzgeit who might have caught that one rather than Gurran Robela. Grant Williams, terrible box kick. Went about 5 meters. Fair play to him. Helped them tap it back into the field of play. And it was Henko Fenter who went for the pass across, which then just went perfectly into the hands of Ben Jason Dixon. Scored the try for the Stormers, and they will now take the lead back. All right, I'm heading to sleep. Have a good stream or streams. Says Benson. We will see you tomorrow. Eddie, maybe. If not, hopefully you'll enjoy your next week. And do you think St. Helens can compete in the NRL? I mean, if they played in the NRL, how well would they do? Well, they do have the matchup every year, which is the Super League showdown type scenario. How it's the best side of the NRL, which in this case was the Panthers, taking on the best side in the English competition, which is St. Helens. Ooh, St. Helens, I'm going to have to drink more water. But I believe it was St. Helens who actually beat the Panthers this year. And greetings, Hamish. Can't stay. Wanted to drop by and give the stream a like, says Mountains of Asylum. Be here tomorrow, dead or alive, says Pads of Blaze. Look forward to it, mate. Preferably alive, though. That would be ideal. It's going to be a little knock on from the Stormers. Sharks now with the scrum feed. But yeah, they also had a warm-up game against one of the other NRL teams, and they did all right. So I think if they were in the NRL, they'd definitely, for me, be a top 8 side. And then it all comes down to like the playoff games of who actually makes it further through. But I wish they'd do a little bit more of a head-to-head. Like maybe you pick 5 teams from the NRL or 4 teams from the NRL. They take on 4 teams from the Super League rather than just a one-off match. Have it like a little bit more extended so that multiple games can take place between the 2 competitions. Bit of a head-to-head battle. Our scrum feed just about to go in for Grant Williams here. For the Sharks, they'll be looking to fire back. In this game, it has been that the Sharks lead, then the Stormers lead, then the Sharks lead, then the Stormers lead. So next, if the trend continues, Sharks should get themselves a converted try here, I would think. They've already got the penalty, though, so they may actually consider the 3 points. No, instead, it's going to be Grant Williams. Takes on a quick tap. I don't know whether Paul DeVette was back the 10 meters, but I believe that's going to be, yep. Okay, you were good, but your tackler was in the way. That is going to be Marcel Tennyson penalised that time for the Stormers. Making the kick maybe slightly easy. What do you think about the Sharks? Says Kristen, they're a good side. It's just they have so many Springboks in their side, which can sometimes impact the way that they play because they're constantly switching in and out of the chemistry side of things. So you look at the side, they haven't got Lukanyuam, no Makazole Mapimpi, no, I mean, you can keep on listing them really. You've got no Bongi Umbanambi, Sia Khaleesi, Ebenezer. So all of these guys are normally starters for them. And when they take them out, it just takes a little bit longer for them to find that rhythm again. But they certainly have potential. They could win this game, I have a feeling. But it's if the Stormers don't take their opportunities and the Sharks do, that may happen. It looks like we've got time off here. What's happened? AJ Jacobs just not quite happy with the way they line out. Hey, that's a huddle. You're not allowed to huddle. That might get them in trouble with the new rules. Oh, no, they're actually saying there was foul play. So it's going to overrule it. And it's going to actually become a penalty against Notchia. That was well done by the Sharks. Sorry, well done by the referee, I should say. To then reverse that one. So the Stormers now will have themselves the penalty 22 metres out from their own line. They're just looking at that clean out from Noche on Dion Fori. But currently, the way that the table sits, the Sharks, they are sitting nicely in seventh place. Now, the reason I say nicely is they're a game behind the likes of a Munster or a Glasgow. The Sharks win this game, they boost up to probably 44 or 45. I would say probably 45 because to beat the Stormers, you normally need to win with a bonus point. So that puts them up above the Bulls, almost on Munster's tail. And then when those games happen between the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere games or teams, that's when we could start to see the Sharks and some of these other South African sides actually really find their footing in this competition again. Get themselves some home finals as well. That would certainly be ideal. Now the cross kick is successful, goes out to Sinatla, who runs forward. Then the clock makes a tackle on him. Trying to get in a breakdown, fighting for it, but Dion Fori has been able to shut him down now. Mani Libok goes back to Ngome Zulu. Looking hesitant. That one has bounced in the field of play, though. A good kick in the end. Almost got him in trouble. He's got the face of a man who's just managed to avoid a big problem of kicking it out on the full. They're actually going back for an offside penalty, though, in favour of the Stormers. So quite a stop-start besides with the amount of disciplinary issues we have seen, but some good rugby being played in this first 25 minutes. Both looking like they want to keep that high tempo, wear down their opposition, and that will only benefit them as they make their way further and further through the URC competition. Springboks coach yelling into his walkie-talkie. I believe he said, take the 3. 50 metres out though, Mani Libok will be taking it on. This will be quite a large kick for Libok. We know that it's exactly 50 metres out, maybe 51 on a technicality by the angle, but still going to be a large kick for Libok if he can get it right. It will actually give the Stormers more than a 7-point lead. I've said he needs to strike it beautifully. The Sharks ready just in case doesn't quite get it far enough. Be ready to run it back or possibly kick it into touch. But Mani Libok, has he got it in him? This is a game that certainly Springbok selectors will be keeping a close eye on. Nails this kick perhaps. Gets that little bit more of a leap up. Struck it hard. It looks like it's going to be coming round, and it's just short of the crossbar. Loose ball, though. Fezambata has to pick it up, just dives down, and that has been carried back by the Sharks, so it becomes a 5-metre scrum and actually puts the Stormers in an even better position. Go the Sharkies. Says roll off there. And nicely done. So the reasoning behind a 5-metre Stormers... Wait. Are they saying that it's been reversed? I don't think they are. So the gist of that one was because he was just outside of the in-goal area when he took the catch, then it was passed back into the in-goal area, ball put down by Fezambata. He just ran out of options, and it becomes the 5-metre scrum for the Stormers. So just with that kicking attempt at goal, actually managed to gain them 45 metres in the process. I'm sure that wasn't the plan anyway. Of course, Mani Labok loved to get it over. How was cricket today? We didn't get to play because of the rain, unfortunately. So I believe we go through to the finals on a technicality, but it just doesn't feel right, seeing as I know that today would have been a very tough game up against a very tough side. But yeah, I think we go through to the finals next week now, unless they are looking at maybe rescheduling the game, which I wouldn't mind. I mean, like, at the end of the day, you want to play more cricket. Stormers will end up with a penalty here again at scrum time, going down in the front row. Front row not too happy with that one. Hey there, what's up? Good to see you again, says Jacques. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing well. Stormers going to win this easy, says Spider Mech. The benefit that the Stormers have is they've already scored 2 tries. So bonus point wise, even if they do end up losing this game, more than likely they will end up getting themselves a bonus point for 4 or more tries. And then alongside that, they may get the bonus point for being within 7. Can't wait to see John Jones tomorrow. Yeah, big matchup between him, or big fight, I should say, between him and Cyril Garn. Also, a few other big games, big matches, big fights. I keep on saying matches. I'm in rugby mode. But yeah, a couple other big fights. Valentina Shevchenko in action. Dricus du Plessis, the South African, going to be on the prelims up against Derek Brunson. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that fight too. You know, he ends up going. There's a lot of combat sports on tomorrow. I think there's also a boxing card, the Misfits 5, going to be taking place with the first ever tag team boxing match. Going to be an interesting one. And we can't forget the Sevens as well and Super Rugby. Be covering plenty on the channel tomorrow. Looks like it is going to be the scrum once again for the Stormers. Just trying to find a better area on the Cape Town turf to be able to go down for this one. Both men in the front row, big boys in the middle. Joseph Weber, also Fezan Bata. Neither want to take a backward step, but with the power in both of these scrums, they may not have a choice. I want to see the Sharks and Lions win today to keep all 4 South African teams in the top 8 hunt, says Burning Lash. Yeah, at the moment, the Lions, they're certainly the team that everyone are thinking, are they going to make it? Because the way that the table sits, believe it or not, sadly, my table cuts off at 11, and the Lions are here. If there was one more, that's where the Lions are lurking. So if they get themselves a win, I believe they go up to about the same points as Edinburgh, if not maybe just a little bit above them. Sharks and the Bulls, pretty decent sitting wise, but a win in both of their games would certainly help them boost because the likes of a Cardiff and Benetton just outside of that marker. It's going to be a close finish, I think, which is going to be good news. Leinster head into South Africa soon. Will they lose that top spot eventually, or will it still be an Irish home final or Irish home quarterfinal? And it does take place. Tag team boxing might be some action outside the ring. Says Jacques in there as well. Yeah, certainly unique on the Misfits card. Now it's going to be a big turning scrum. Penalty goes the way of the Stormers again. I think they'll go down for a third scrum because if it goes wrong for a third time for the Sharks, they might end up in the scenario of a yellow card not being too far away. So wheeling the scrum is the penalty that has been given. To anyone who is new to the live stream, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We've got plenty more rugby action coming, including the Blitzbox game tomorrow. They'll be taking on Argentina. What should be an important matchup. Definitely after they did draw with France. Good afternoon, Hamish. Looking forward to some rugby. Hope that the Sharks bring their A game, says Joss Pike. Currently under a lot of pressure at the moment. The Sharks just out from their own goal line, but still in the hunt. Only 6 points difference between the two sides currently. But I hope you are doing well, Joss. Weekend, so I assume you aren't teaching the stage, but you'll be back in action in a day and a bit or so, I think it is, for South African time. All the vet now. Got to put the ball in for the Stormers. 10 minutes remain in this half. I believe the scrum has taken about 4 minutes, and that's not even an exaggeration. We've had a lot of resets of this time. Trying to get that penalty again. It's gone down in the front row. Get it out, says AJ Jacobs. He's absolutely sick of it. He's been told to get it out again. If he doesn't get it out, he's been told for a third time. He almost didn't use that in time. And now Mani Libok goes off the Blommakers. He goes in for the try. And it is a very nice one. Goes over the top of Verna Cock, I should say, on what channel. And I watch the boxing on, says Aiden. So for the boxing, you will need the zone, which is spelled DAZN. And also, we have got the tag team boxing match. If one guy gets knocked out, how we tag team, mate? Says Johannes. So I believe from what I've seen in the explanation, there's a tagging zone in both corners, kind of cut out into a little triangle. Then from there, like if you get knocked out, match over. Like you can't then tag your teammate or anything along those lines. So it's pretty much if you go into that area and a tag is made, the other man comes into the ring and he'll be fresh, he'll be boxing away. And then if the other team make a tag, it's pretty much like rotating. If you've ever seen, I guess, the WWE's the best example of it, except like the referee has to step in. It's going to be confusing, big time. But I mean, I'm keen to see how it goes, just to see if anyone else in the boxing world then decides, hey, that's not a bad concept. Shall we give it a go? Just got back home from a 2-day chemistry course all weekend. Back in the classroom tomorrow morning, says Joss. 2-day chemistry course. You're a committed man, Joss. I feel like I could not get through a 1-day chemistry course. Not so much because I don't enjoy chemistry, just because I'm not very good at it. Unfortunately, Labok has got measurably better since playing for the Box, says Burning Lash, and he'll still be lurking around that number 10 spot. Of course, with the World Cup just around the corner, the Springboks will have to be strategic with who they put in their squad and who's going to be the man that helps lead them possibly to that back-to-back World Cup. It's not too far away. First game for the Springboks will be up against the Irish. That is a massive game. There's going to be a penalty this time to the Sharks for offside. Kick was successful from Money Box, so I should mention now 19 points to 6, even though the scoreboard has now just done it. I also agree, Birmingham must play, says Jacques. So here's a question, ladies and gentlemen. If you had to pick, do we say 3 or 4? We'll go actually 4 fly halves for the Springboks in order of who you'd like to see in the starting lineup, then the reserves, and then the 2 spares. So you got a tier list of 4. Who's your number 1 pick, your number 2, number 3, number 4 pick for Springboks fly halves? I'm interested to see how similar everyone is. Does Labok get in there? Does Kerwin Bosch? Does anyone have the dark horse of a Chris Smith? Or maybe Jordan Hendrickson? I'm just trying to name every single fly half that I know. Andre Pollard, of course, coming back from injury. Do you put Valimza back to 10 rather than fullback? It's going to be a knock on in the ground, unfortunately. In fact, no, that ball just couldn't get out of there for the rolling maul. Rassi van Rensburg, not too happy about that one. Now, Stormers will have themselves another scrum. Mapimpi better be selected, says Aiden DV. That'd actually be quite a cool video series idea, maybe. Like doing the top 5 rankings of every position type thing, of who we feel should be the top 5 options. Certain positions. And also, you're a damn good YouTube rugby and cricket commentator, a lifesaver. Those who cannot watch on the TV, my 10s are Pollard, Valimza, Labok, and Bosch. Okay, so Pollard, Valimza, Labok, Bosch. Then we have got for Venster, Pollard at number 1 as well. And I agree, Joss, with your ratings. It seems like everyone's got Pollard 1. That seems to be one thing I've seen throughout media, throughout comments, throughout everything. Pollard seems to still be that first choice. And then Labok and Valimza around the other way. And Rob Dupree, that's a name that I haven't heard too much of. Oh, the Springboks, another penalty at scrum time for wheeling around. Scrums have been ugly in this game, I won't lie. Going back and forth. And then Bosch at number 5. Okay, so that would mean no sign of... Chris Smith I don't think's quite ready. He's too much like Mornay Stain. And if they want someone like Mornay Stain, they'll just pick Mornay Stain. Money Libok. Oh, booting that ball into Dutch. Pollard, Labok, Johan Hoosen. That's a name that I forgot about. Valimza. That allows both box styles as options, says Burning Lash. So yeah, there's quite a few choices, isn't there? For possible Springbok fly halves. Go Sharkies, says Mornay there. But yeah, once again, Pollard number 1. Labok slots in at number 2. Joseph Dweller, speaking of 2s, he is now going for the line out. Have been a little bit less scrappy than the scrums in this matchup. Joseph Weber lapping around, going off to Marcel Tennyson. Rolling this ball back, it will be Paul DeVette with only 3.5 minutes left in this first half. Does seem like it's going to be a fast-paced game. What about Mr. Yankees? A history now, says Jacques. Elton Yankees, he's a tricky one because, don't get me wrong, can be a great player. Consistency-wise, he does struggle a little bit, but then also it's the off-the-field stuff that just gets him in trouble. You know, like you want a guy who you know you're not going to have to send home halfway through a tournament because he's done something. That makes sense. Yeah, Hussein gets injured too much. If he did not, I would pick him on 2. There's a roll-off there. Because I guess that's the other big question. How big of a squad are the Springboks going to go with for that World Cup? Do they go with a squad of 50? Do they pretty much just get everyone available, put them all in the same spot. Because we've got to remember, they're also going to have those matchups taking place between, or the one matchup between New Zealand just before the World Cup starts. 1 week out, they're going to be playing New Zealand and Twickenham in a warm up game. And I have a feeling that both sides are going to walk away from that game with at least one injury. So you don't want someone like a Pollard to be injured in that game. Of course, you want to give him some minutes to get him warmed up. But you don't want him to be out up before it even starts. So yeah, how many do you pick? Probably, I'd say four's a good option. And Rob has been in fantastic form for sale. Problem is, I think he's too similar to Pollard. Actually, solid, but not that well. X factor, which the Box need alongside Polly, Lebock, Willems, and Leroux. And they need to close the nightclubs in France if he is picked. And fly halves, Lebock, Willems, Pollard, and Bosch. Oh, okay. So going with Marnie Lebock. By any chance, Bert, with that selection, are you a Stormers supporter? Just wondering because, of course, you got the two Stormers players at the 1 and 2. That's not saying that, you may not be. It's just a question. If Limza kicking gets sorted, scary depth. I always found it so confusing with Damien Valimza because it seemed like they just had that lack of confidence in his kicking right from the get-go. And there were times, I believe it was actually the last series, wasn't it, where Faf de Klerk was doing the kicking. Not very well at times, but because they didn't want to give Damien Valimza the responsibility. The squad is all Stormers, says Mornay there. And also Lebock, Pollard, Valimza, and also Rob Dupre. Yeah, Rob Dupre is getting a lot of praise at the moment, which is quite cool to see. We've got backline players you think won't make the World Cup, says Luke. Oh, that's a hard one because injuries, of course, may change it a little bit. Out of this matchup, I don't think we're going to see Angelo Davids. I don't think we'll see Ruan Nell. I don't think we'll see Paul DeVette. Blomekes, probably not. I think the only one out of the Stormers backline that we might see, or the only two, is probably Lebock and Ngome Zulu. Don't know if they'll go with Sinatla as an option. But then, of course, that depends. If they've got an injury of like someone like a Makazole Mapimpi, it's gone to the back, nicely stolen by Gurra Robela. Had a lot of set plays just in the last little while, which is why we've been calling too much of the action. Now it is going to be off number 13 for the Sharks, Putgaita. And then for the Stormers, for the Sharks, we might see Bosch. Grant Williams may get a crack. Apalele Fasi's a bit of a 50-50 with whether they would go with him. That is going to be the end of the first half, though. Kicked into touch, and the end score in the first half, 19 points to 6. Portugal won't be Jan Stefans Rensburg. Depends. If they've lost Dialende, that could be an option. At number 12, Chamberlain, I don't think will get in. Werner Koch been good, but I don't think they would. With the bomb squad, they will probably have Frans Steyn as the backup, says Jacques. And Willem's inside centre or fullback. Ooh. Recently, it's hard because at international level, you've got Willie Leroux, who actually was playing pretty well in the last Springbok matches. So you're more likely to replace Willie Leroux with Damien Valimza than you are to replace Damien Dialende with Valimza. Whereas at Stormers level, I would say they probably would give Valimza a few cracks at 12, and they already have. International-wise, I think they stick with Dialende or someone like a Andre Esterhuizen, just someone who's willing to crash that ball up. And don't get me wrong, Valimza could play that role, and he could play it relatively well. It's just from history-wise, they do enjoy that big guy. And number 12, and Yo-Yo Morning from the Bay Area says, just Carl, you're not too far away from the event taking place. What time does it start, Carl, in terms of how many hours away from it starting? And Stain is solid, not showing X Factor, and Kerwin Bosch shouldn't lead the Sharks, says just Carl. And Kobus Reinach will be at the World Cup, I'd like to think. He just adds that pace and the willingness to attack the line, which is something the Springboks, I mean, don't get me wrong, the kicking sometimes works with Faf de Klerk, with Herschel Yankees, and anyone else who they ask to just kick the ball. It's tomorrow, Hamish says just Carl. Is it? Is it on Monday, New Zealand time, rather than Sunday? Sorry, I got it a little bit confused because the UFC's on tomorrow, isn't it? And also some boxing will be taking place. And Chislin Colby versus Will Jordan, that's a foot race I'll pay money to see. If France gets 3 gold medals, will be epic. There's a roll off. He used to be a Shark supporter, but not now supports Stormers. There's Bert there as well. When you visit South Africa, I can travel and take you to meet Michael Duplessis, who is a good friend of mine, says Bert. The thing is, I have been invited to many braais. If I ever go to South Africa, I think I'm going to be having a barbecue or a braai every single night with a new person, by the sounds of it. And that's a trip that at some stage in the future, I would like to be able to make. Head to South Africa. I would also love to visit Fiji and Samoa. Those are other 2 places I love to go. And I wonder Cape Town is a fortress with the Stormers rush defence reminiscent of the Crusaders. There's Sammy Souza there. Yeah, they've been looking very strong. There was that beautiful bit of work from Ben Jason Dixon, though. When Grant Williams failed with his box kick, an interception pass thrown by Henko Fenta, and they jumped on the opportunity, got themselves that early try in the matchup. And currently, as we sit, they aren't too far away from a bonus point. They've already scored themselves 3 tries. The next step for them will definitely be possibly the 4. And then at the moment on the table, the way that they sit, that would actually put them up quite nicely, sitting on about that 59 points differential, but not quite as good as the side above them. Munster have a very good points differential as well, I should mention. Edinburgh, to have a points differential of plus 24, yet still be in 11th, I think is almost more impressive than anything on that kind of list. Everyone else is minuses, and then Edinburgh just had a couple games where they scored a huge amount of tries. I'm watching the game with a fellow local who also traveled to the States, so we're watching it in the hotel bar. Asked the manager if he could hook us up. Says just Carl. You should go to London for the Springboks versus All Blacks game. I mean, London's a long way away from New Zealand, unfortunately. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd absolutely love to be able to go to that game. But one thing's for sure, we are commentating every single match of the Rugby World Cup. And that will all be coming live on the channel. We have previews and all sorts happening. It's going to be an exciting time throughout September. Also, one of the busiest times that we've ever had on the Kiwi Lads channel. And I know that that sounds like I'm lying because we've had weekends recently where we've covered 30 plus hours of live sporting events, but it's going to be busier than that. Sleep is going to be optional for the World Cup, but hopefully also accessible. Michael Duplessis is the father of Dan and his brothers, Carol and Willie. Also played for the Box, their 4th, Brothert. Played for EP for many years, says Bert there. It's actually pretty awesome, the amount of you guys who know someone, or you guys know someone who's a part of the Springboks setup or anything along those lines. It's quite cool. And Farsi can leave the Sharks and join the Stormers now, says Just Carl, and can't go wrong with the Kiwi Lads streaming in the after hours beyond 12 a.m. whenever the rugby fever is keeping me awake, says Sammy Souza. Although I will mention, we aren't going to be doing the Bulls versus Lions game, mainly because we are going to be sleeping, as it will be 3:45 a.m. But we are back tomorrow morning with the 7s between Fiji and Great Britain. South Africa versus Argentina, another game. And then also alongside that, we will be covering the matchup taking place between Samoa and New Zealand. And we've actually got a preview coming out about 9 a.m. tomorrow for that matchup. Please, Super Rugby, please reinstate Stormers and the Sharks. And also we have got the why on earth did the Crusaders and Highlanders play in Melbourne? Do they still have... No, it's nothing to do with that. It's cool. It's silly because it was the Super Round. So it's supposed to be like, yay, everyone plays from the same ground. But Melbourne was the worst place to host it because no one in Melbourne, other than a very, very small exception, care about rugby union. So they had like 5,000 people at that game. When if they had had it in Fiji, had it in New Zealand somewhere, Eden Park, they would have got probably 30,000 plus. And they just decided, why not bring it to Melbourne where no one cares? Not great. Hamish, how well do you think the ABs will do in this World Cup? I think they're going to struggle a little bit. Like, if they get themselves a lucky win up against France, or if they don't beat France but beat the rest of the group, they're still going to find themselves in a tough quarterfinal. Shame about how it ended up laying out in terms of all 4 of the top sides in the world being on the same side of the draw. Was a big comp. Looked for a long time. And also we have got there one moment, and there's UFC as well. So much sport. Yeah, John Jones returning to face Cyril Gahn. Looking forward to seeing that one. Thoughts on Artie Savia's gang sign yesterday? I don't know if it was a gang sign per se, but certainly was out of the blue because Artie Savia, anyone who you talk to, they say he's one of the nicest, most humble individuals you'll ever meet. And it's interesting because we saw that part of it, how he did the old throat thingamabob, which of course is not really appropriate for the game of rugby. But I want to know what that halfback said to him that made him turn around and do it. Because Artie Savia, like I mentioned, he's normally a very composed guy. He's not the type of guy who would go back just because a guy swore at him. I feel like it was something worse, but then I don't want to stipulate, but still can't really get away with doing it. Something was said to him that caused him to do that, says Just Carl. Yeah, and it wouldn't have just been like, you suck or anything like that. Like, there would have been something big enough that Savia, because he kind of halfway went like that and then went, hang on, what'd you say? And then I don't know if the guy repeated it or he went, no, 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 no. Here's a fun fact. The Rebels halfback was South African. Fun fact there. I feel like you South Africans, you know how to get under our Kiwi skin, don't you? And I think we're going to find that out at Twickenham. Like, those two sides are just going to smash into each other. But there's also that, like, mutual respect. I feel like I'm quite lucky because I cover a lot of South African games. So some of you South Africans have almost accepted me as one of your own. You've offered a braai every once in a while, get the bottlers out, which they actually sell at my local supermarket, I have learned, which is quite cool. Almost like bipolar Werner Koch. Yeah, he's kind of, one moment he's so chill, and then all of a sudden he's trying to rip everyone's head off. I've been watching Reddy, very hesitant to say anything after we got effed. I believe that Sharks are going to win. He probably said, what does that mean? Does that mean your mum? Or something like that. And Sammy, why do they say, or why do they have a say in New Zealand matches? They will not fly NZA, says Roloff. NFT Gamer said another one. I'm not too sure what that says. And also, yes, to Rugby Styles is paying off in the URC. South Africa URC comps 2 in a row. Could happen. And fourth see brother Jacques was a wing. Michael was a fly half and centre. Willie was a centre. And Carroll was the price of the South African wings. And Perth will be, or would have been, a better place to host Super Round or New Zealand. Exactly right. Like last year, they tried it in Melbourne. No one showed up, or more showed up than this year, but not many showed up. So that should have been a clear indication to go, okay, looks like Melbourne's not the place to do it. Let's go to Suncorp Stadium. Let's go to Optus Stadium. Let's go to New Zealand. Eden Park was wide open. Sky Stadium, Forsyth Bar, Fiji. That was my biggest recommendation. Get it to Fiji for a Super Round. You will have the stadium packed from start to finish, no matter what. Put Moana Pacifica on one day, put the Fijian draw on another, and then put the Blues on the other day. And you will get people always showing up for those matches. Yes, Hamish, don't say it though. Says Carl. Yes, I see. Yeah, I feel like there were a lot of ways that they could have done it other than being in Melbourne. It means walk fast away, but it's a curse word, says the roll-off there. I see. Yeah, I don't know much of my Afrikaans, unfortunately. And who do you think will make this year's URC final? I think it's going to end up probably being Leinster versus Stormers. To be honest, and that's not just saying it because they're the top two sides in the competition, but I think there'll certainly be some sort of South African flair in that final alongside some Irish grit. Hopefully, does end up going well. Do you know who first used the grubber kick in rugby? I do not. The first player I remember seeing do lines of kicking, probably actually, I mean, I remember the memories of Zinzan Brook and F off basically says NFT. And I'm going to get back to the game. Have a good one, mate. Says Just Go. See you later, mate. You are doing well. And hope you do enjoy tomorrow. And look up All Blacks South Africa Test 1928 in Durban. All points scored by players that went to Kingswood College. Graham Bernie Olser, Stanley Osler, sorry, and Jack Slater. Is Bert. About your mum in Afrikaans. So if anyone says, direct it to your mum, says Luke. I see. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Hopefully, I don't end up in a situation where that does happen. But yeah, nice to know. Looks like Mani Libok will be kicking off for the second half. So, like I mentioned, the Stormers need another try to get themselves the bonus point. The Sharks in this game actually need 4 more tries to get that bonus point. So, the chance of that happening in one half is actually quite unlikely, but they can get themselves a win. They just need a couple quick fire tries and then some extra points. First person to use Scrummer was Benny Osler, the Bok fly half. Now it's kicked off, nicely taken by it was the Sharks number 4. This one I believe they've got Van Heerden. Man there, that's gonna be straight away another penalty. This game has had a lot of them throughout the match, I won't lie. First half, we saw probably about maybe 10 penalties between the two sides. The second half, I think we'll see about the same. Now the Stormers, they'll be looking to kick this one for the corners. If they score now, they have already secured that bonus point no matter what happens in the rest of the match, but currently about 10 meters out from the line. Be this line out for Joseph Weber and the Stormers. Yeah, the ball just bounced out the side. And from there, Grant Williams managed to grab it, but he was an accidental offside. And how do the Sharks never win without their Springbok players? Because they haven't got their Springbok players. Maybe. I think they are the side out of all the South African teams that are always the most. Oh, that's a wide cut out pass. Lefasi, quick run now. Chamberlain down the wing goes for a bit of an awkward kick on the inside. Janssen van Rensburg just ended up knocking it on. Stormers get the ball back. But yeah, I think they're the side that are most heavily impacted by the Springbok players being missing because half of their starting lineup normally is Springbok related. Mani Libok with the cross kick goes straight into the hands of Angelo Davis. Nice inside ball to Clayton Blomakis who's tackled around the neck. I hate how all the players do just throw their arms up rather than continuing the game in that scenario. The referee knew it was high. He was getting ready to call it, but about 4 of the South African players went like this. They're getting ready to start the YMCA. It was a fun one back at school, wasn't it? Sharks not box or non-box not getting enough time to be cohesive team when the box missing says Burning Lash. Yeah, that is a good point. It's just building that chemistry, isn't it? Which they seem to be struggling with when all those big players do end up away. And also because Rugby Australia is trying to grow union through Super Round in Melbourne, where AFL and NRL are a lot more popular in that city. There's Simi Souza. You wonder how much money could Super Rugby have brought in having it take place in Fiji or somewhere that they were able to sell out a stadium on all 3 days. It would have been massive. And Daz has said, damn, I'm late in here. No worries. You'd missed the first half. But there's still plenty more action to go. Ngume Zulu's just knocked the ball on for the Stormers. Now back across. Kerwin Bosch, numbers on the right-hand side. Well handled by Putgaita. Almost went through. Wrestled down inside of the Stormers half now. Keep this one on their side. Dion Fourie, the Jacqueline, manages to get that ball back for the Stormers. Which place in New Zealand got the most gangs? I mean, probably up north somewhere. I don't want to name anywhere specifically, but yeah, somewhere up north Island wise. As the Sharks spend all their money on 20 level 10 players and 30 level 6s. The rest of the team spend their money wisely, says Gareth. What happened so far in this game? So we have seen 3 tries from the Stormers, 2 converted penalties from the Sharks. Oh, sorry, 2 converted, penalties. So Sharks, long way from a bonus point, whereas the Stormers are only 1 try away from their bonus. Suva, Fiji, or Brisbane would have been better cities for the Super Round. I'd love to see it in Fiji. I know that I keep on saying this and you guys will get sick of me saying it, but imagine the scenes if you had Fiji or you had the Fijian draw taking on like the Crusaders. Imagine if that was this round in Suva. And then you also had, I don't know what you could do, Moana Pacifica taking on one of the other Kiwi teams. You have the Reds taking on the Blues. It'd be a pretty good game. Will be full house with 3-day events, Fiji to host the Super Rugby rounds. Says, no, I understand the concept, Sammy. I think it is stupid, like the World Cup in the US. We need to pay the players in this plan. I don't get it. Says Roloff. Who scored for the Stormers? Says Luke. So far, we have seen the tries scored by it was Ben Jason Dixon, Sasha Ngome Zulu, and then also the third try was scored by. Did you get the third try, ladies and gentlemen? I know I've got two of them, which was Ben Jason Dixon, or it might have been Marcel Tennyson. Got the other try. I'm not sure. My brain's completely gone blank. I know that the two that I can guarantee you though is Ben Jason Dixon and Sasha Ngume Zulu. I think Ulster is coming back strongly. They'll have the Stormers number as well of late. Scares me a bit, says Sharks. Yeah, some of those Irish sides certainly looking ready to rumble when they head to South Africa. We scored the Stormers, or we saw the Stormers beating the Sharks 46-19 in Durban. We are maybe looking at the same scoreline today, says Daz. Carlos Sadi making his way out onto the field. That is going to be for Hanru Jacobs, who did start this match. Didn't really have too much of an impact, unfortunately, the tight head prop. Don't know how many more starts he will end up with in the near future. So someone's boots are just getting scissored at the moment. Looks like he had a little bit of a problem. They almost ripped his toe straight through the front of it. Sharks have lost 3 of their last 5 URC matches, but have won their last 2 away trips in the competition. There you go. So that means that the Sharks on the road are actually normally more dangerous when they are at home, by the sounds of it, in recent times. Gareth, I don't agree. Look at how the Box were disjointed team in the second Wales match last year. It's a team game. Individual stars does not give you a well-organised defence or attack, says Burning Lash. It was for Gareth. Although I think in that regard, he was saying that because they've got so many big players, those big players constantly are leaving, then coming back in, and then they just didn't quite find that rhythm of matching it. Looks like Abelele Fassi is struggling. It looks like he's a bit sore. He's going to be going on a stretcher and going away. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious. And we had the Bulls versus Stormers last week, highest attendance in URC ever. Why on earth will we go and play that game in Melbourne? But yes, I think we all agree, says Roloff. Just like next week in Lautoka when the Crusaders come to visit, the stadium getting renovated in preparation for that round 3 game. And I was saying the same thing you were, says Gareth, to Burning Lash. Paul DeVette to put the ball in for the Stormers. Leinster is dominating the URC with 15 wins, no losses. The Stormers also dominating with the wins. But I think Ulster stands a good chance to win it this year, says Daz X. I believe they're currently sitting in 4th, aren't they? That's the wrong table. That's Super Rugby. There we go. Yep, they are sitting in 4th at the moment. Sitting with a game in hand over Glasgow. The Stormers, they have to make sure that they keep on extending away from these two, because if they can do that, that means that they probably more than likely secure that home final / home semi-final, home quarter-final, whatever it is. You want to be up in that top. Now, another Stormers scrum. A lot of stoppages in this game so far. Like I mentioned, this first 5 minutes of the second half has taken about an hour. It is an exaggeration. It's only been 59 minutes. Now Vincent DeChulka going across with the pass. That's another knock on. But lucky, or in fact, no, sorry. It's a drop ball, but it's gone backwards. It's going to be play on just for now. So Grant Williams once again will be rolling this ball back for the Sharks. Has been told to use it. Now puts the ball high. And for real drawers and say this game will be packed, says Blues Nate. It's a tricky game for myself. And the reason I say that is because we got defaulted to today, or not defaulted to, but because of the rain, I believe we go through to the final. And the final would be next week at the same time as the Crusaders versus Fiji and draw game. And at the same time, possibly, as the Blues versus Hurricanes game. So I don't know what to do. I have played half a game for my team before. That was in a regular season match. This is the final. Might be able to find a guest to do the commentary for me, perhaps, if that is something you guys are keen on. Yeah, if I could be in 2 places at once, that would be ideal. I just haven't quite worked out how to do that yet. Joseph Weber looks like he is gonna be maybe a little bit injured here. Staying down for a while, Weber. Stretching out the groin. I have to say, my voice has struggled more this weekend than it did last weekend. The thing is, the Stormers won last year's URC. Yeah, that's certainly did in the final up against the Bulls. The South African sides, that is great work from the Stormers. Sharks had the line out and then just trapped that ball in there. Wasn't able to get it out. The Stormers are probably going to end up in the top 4, probably end up 3rd or 2nd. They won't top the log, says Daz. That's a big call. But then saying that with Leinster at the top makes sense. I'm actually going to have a quick look. When are Leinster's next games in South Africa? Like this, we will find this information. Yes, second behind Leinster like last year. There's Burning Lash. Because who knocked out Leinster last year? Was it the Sharks or was it the Bulls? I know one of them, I think, managed to take them out in the quarter or the semi-finals. It was one of the two. Right. Leinster, what can we find out? They are playing Edinburgh in only a couple hours' time. But they do have their game up against the Stormers in 20 days' time. They'll be on the 25th of March. They've got a game up against Ulster in the last 16 of the European Champions Cup. Then they've got the matchup between them and the Lions and them and the Bulls as their next game. So Leinster only play South African sides for the rest of the competition. Be the advantage, and the penalty goes the way of the Stormers this time at scrum time. Bulls knocked them out in the semi, I think. Says Daz, and Bulls knocked them out in the semi, says Burning Lash. I see next game at Loftus, the Lions has the tendency to win those. And yeah, Leinster have to win have a big lead, 66 points. There's no way the Stormers top in the log, says Daz. Not unless Leinster lose all 3 games to South African sides. And the Stormers, their next 3 games of the URC, one of which will be up against Leinster. And they've also got their game up against Munster and then Benetton, their last game. And Bulls beat us last minute the other way, says Gareth. And they said that last year about the Stormers, which ended up being an all South African affair. Stormers and the Bulls in the final. You're right. I see next game is at Loftus. The Lions has a tendency to win those. Sorry, I just read that one, didn't I? Too long ago. We've had a huge amount of lineouts and scrum in this game. James Fenter now coming on the field. That is for Hugo Fenter. Hinko Fenter, in fact, I should say. Now, Lavaskachni also out there on the field for Gerbera Robla. Not sure. Now, Bosch. Clock. Down the wing. Grant Williams. Worst time to yawn when you're trying to say Werner Koch's name and you only get half of it out. Gonna be another knock on. We've had a lot of scrums in this game. The worst thing is every time we have a scrum, it takes about a minute, but we're getting to chat a lot about what else is happening in the rugby world because of them. And they're not losing against the Lions. The Lions are doing worse this year than they did last year. I mean, at the moment on the table, the Lions are on 29 points, right? If they win their next game, they will go above Edinburgh. That is if Edinburgh don't beat Leinster, and then they'll need to win their next couple matches. So, yeah, for the Lions, their games from now on, they've got a match up against Benetton, and also, of course, their game up against the Bulls, not too far away. But then they've got Benetton, then they've got Leinster, and then they've got Zebre as their last game. And Leinster top group, easy wake up, says Michael, and there as well. Yeah, I think we've worked that out, Michael, that Leinster are going to be top of the group. At this point, it's more of those other positions in the top 4 we were talking about there as well. They're not losing against the Lions. The Lions are doing worse. Says Daz. Yeah, Lions have struggled for the South African sides, which they seemed to last year to a certain extent. But it's going to be AJ Jacobs once again saying that their scrum is wheeling. We are going to have another scrum now, another reset. Now, JJ Klitsia looks like he is warming up on the sideline alongside Brock Harris, getting ready to make his way out there. Yeah, Leinster are sitting on 66 points. So unless the Stormers somehow only get, well, Leinster need to lose all the games from here on out. Stormers need to get a few bonus points in the process as well. It's just, yeah, it's not happening. And see, though, there's still a chance for Lions to qualify for the quarters. It's going to take something special for that, says Daz. Yeah, they're going to need a nice streak, and they will have to beat Leinster, which is going to be a massive contest and a massive task because I think they also have Ulster as another game. Well, no, they have Munster, they've got Zebre, and then they have got the Bulls today. Good afternoon, all watching from South Africa. Can someone please explain to me why Leinster haven't lost one match? It's shocking, says Darius. The thing is, Leinster have been close to losing matches, but they always manage to get through it. And that is the difference between them and the Lions, for instance. The Lions are a side that have lost many games by the 1 point, whereas Leinster have won many games by the 1 point or somewhere around that margin type thing. It's always those last points that Leinster are able to seal the deal. Like we looked through at some of their closer games that they have had. They won against the Ospreys 24 points to 19. They won against Munster 20 points to 19. So a 1 point win there. They won by was 9 against Ulster. That wasn't too bad of a result. 10-0 to Connacht in a low-scoring game, 20 points to 13. They almost lost to Zebre, 33 points to 29. They always get on that winning side of the draw. Loftus and Ellis Park is only 51 kilometres apart. These games are epic, says the roll-off there. Nicely taken by the Stormers now. A couple more changes being made, and now we're back into the action. Nice run from Ruan now. Dragged down nicely there. Now Paul de Vet goes to Mani Labok, Ungume Zulu, ball on the outside of Clayton Blomakis, tries the offload. Yeah, Pinko was almost able to shut it down. But I think going to be the knock-on advantage for the Stormers. It's a close chance, and Leinster is a strong side. They don't really lose, actually. They bottle in the finals or something, says Daz. And that's the thing. That's a possibility. They could find themselves winning every single game right up until they get to the quarterfinal. Could find themselves up against the South African side in 8th, and they could get knocked out. That is the reality of playoff rugby, and that's always why I say about the World Cup. As a World Cup side, you need 7 good games. You play 7 good matches, and you win them. You got the World Cup in your pocket. So, could be the same thing about Leinster. They could be undefeated going into the end of this year. Same can be said about the Blues in Super Rugby. There are a few people worried that that might be what the Blues end up doing, going right all of the way through and then missing out in the end. Looks like Kieran Funfera making his way out onto the park now for Fez Mbata. Still 27 minutes left, and we have seen not much action the start of the second half. That is mainly due to the handling. I think we've seen about 6 scrums in the first 13 minutes and about 4 lineouts to go alongside it. Like Paul de Vet off the field now, so it is going to be Herschel Yankees out there trying to make the most of it and trying to help them get over the line. And last year, they bottled against the Bulls. Like they had a good lead and bottled, but they dominate the log, says Daz. Right, Herschel Yankees, the set play. I think we're going to see some quick hands here from the Stormers out their back line. Herschel Yankees is going to have to get it started. They've been told to use it. Get it out now. There's AJ Jacobs has gone down in the front row now. Herschel Yankees goes off the first receiver over there. It's going to be Ngume Zulu. Ball bounces out the back. Well picked up by Yankees. 1 meter out from the line, and the advantage also in the favor of the Stormers. Now going to the right-hand side, Mani Labok with the cross kick. It's bouncing awkwardly. And, Angelo Davids has butchered that one. Clayton Blomakis has claimed the try just in case Davids did mess it up. He was slipping and sliding all over the place for Angelo Davids. Very true, Hamish. Lose by what against the Satyrs in the grand final. There's Nate. What is the attendance currently at Cape Town? I would say 30,000, somewhere around there, maybe. I'm not too sure of the capacity of the stadium, but I know that they'd have a lot more in one match here than they have over the whole Super Round in Melbourne. And what I seen this year, walk in the park for Leinster, says Michael. Yeah, it's always playoff games. Like, that's the thing. Leinster have looked so dominant. And have they got the ability of going all the way in the competition? Absolutely. Is there going to be a matchup where they've got finals fixture? Probably, but will they fight through it? They should. It's just whether or not there's that one game where something goes wrong, which sides normally have. Leinster have been very lucky because they haven't found that yet. I think for Leinster to win the whole URC competition, this is going to sound weird. You might not agree, Michael. Well, I think for Leinster to win the whole competition, they need to lose a game before they get to the playoffs, just so that they get that slight, I guess, not reality check, but just that, I guess, slight feeling of, okay, we aren't invincible. We now have to make sure we're playing our A game. Whereas if you've gone and you've won every single game, some sides love that feeling of being undefeated, but then it just hurts even more when that streak comes to the end. So I think if they lose one of their games in South Africa, it will probably actually benefit them more than it will plunder them. Michael, if Leinster face the Bulls in the knockout stage, Bulls will surprise again, says Burning Lash. Bulls could have won last year's final, but the Satyrs are just too good, says Daz. But then that's the case again. Did the Bulls or the Blues, sorry, play too well throughout the regular season, not know what it was like to lose, and then end up in that scenario of losing to the Crusaders? Okay, they've said that the ball does not go forward off Angelo Davids, which then means that it is going to be grounded by Clayton Blumekes, and that should be the try for the Stormers, and that would actually be their bonus point. Okay, the player was onside. Angelo Davids absolutely butchered the chance to score that try, but his teammate Clayton Blumekes was onto it and did manage to get it down. If you have the Super Rugby Super Round in South Africa, you have zero attendance. Oh, just the joke says roll off. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it, to see how many South Africans would show up. There'd be a few signs saying like, "Why aren't we in Super Rugby anymore?" But I think there'd be a bit of support South Africa for them. But Angelo Davids had an absolute mare trying to put that ball down. In fact, I don't know how he did so badly. Terrible bounce. Angelo David, his feet just kept on slipping. Still unhappy that the Super Round went away. The only teams are New Zealand teams and Australian teams, says Daz. Now it's a tough kick for Mani Libok, but should be able to get this one. Looks good, and it goes over. Making the score now 26 points to 6. I'm probably right, would be good for Leinster to lose. Bulls no hope. Stormers step ahead to give them a game, says Michael. Yeah, like I always remember the words that Norm Maxwell talked to us about. And anyone who doesn't know Norm Maxwell, ex All Black, he said to me on one of the interviews that we did with him, he was like, in most cases, a loss teaches you a lot more than a win. And if you learn from your losses, you get better. And that is something that I think Leinster, you mean, I mean, when you look at what they did for their Champions Cup a little while ago, in that game where they were beaten by La Rochelle. Like, they were angry about that for a long time, and they then seemed to just keep on improving after that. And like I mentioned, anytime there's a close game for the Leinster boys, they seem to get over the line in the end. And BMT, big match temperament, is a burning. And also, Stormers was robbed in the 2020 Super Rugby. That was where the Stormers started to play like a team. They started winning and learning from their mistakes. Norm Maxwell says Nathan there. Yeah, we'll have to have a catch up with Norm. He said that he was in Dubai doing a bit of a charity thing for rugby recently. Stefan Rensburg, you'll never guess it. It's another knock on. We're having another scrum. Now, I don't want to say this is the most scrums we've ever seen in a URC game, but she's got to be up there. So I think we're verging on about 12, maybe more. In fact, does the URC website tell us the information? Because I'm gonna have a quick wee Google and see if it does tell us match center. This'll do it. How many scrums have we had? Go here. Um, and we will go here. Aaron Van Zerinsberg needs to be, needs to go back to the Lions. He's in his prime there. I think we need to team up now. I'm a Shark, but yes, if the Stormers win here, they must win big. There's a roll off. So the information that I have for the statistics: attack, defense, kicking, penalty errors. Oh, they don't tell us the scrums, which is a shame because there's been a lot. Now, cross kick attempt here from the Sharks. Nicely taken offload. And that'll be the try for the Sharks. Their first of the match. And Dion Foree and also Werner Koch having a right push and a shove. And those two players might get themselves in a bit of trouble. AJ Jacobs almost in the middle of it. But Werner Koch, someone mentioned it earlier on, how he can go from being so happy in one moment to trying to take a man's head off in the next. And that's one of those moments. Either way, the Sharks end up with the try. Dion Foree's also a man with a bit of a temper. So Nutler's just given Werner Koch a hug, saying, please don't get angry. They're going to be checking this one. And you don't need to count the scrums. It's not worth it, says Daz. Yeah, there's been a lot, is the best way of describing it. Werner Koch's still having a bit of a chat with him. Time off. They're going to go upstairs to see what happened. This could end up with Dion Foree going to the bin for 10 minutes. The moment I say something, the opposite happens. Good old commentator's curse, eh? So Yapinke goes in, scores the try. Then Werner Koch gets him off Dion Foree. Everyone joins in. Dion Foree was grabbing. Okay, so they're saying that Werner Koch was the instigator, but Dion Foree did stay on the ground a little bit too long. Okay, so I've said that it is going to be a try. The try will stand, but then it is going to be a penalty in favour of the Stormers for the Sharks number 14, Werner Koch, instigating it. There, everyone, another 3 hours to go at work. Says Ruth there, and Stormers, yes, let's do it, says Ruth. Right, so they're going to have a bit of a chat with Werner. In fact, they are going to talk to Dion Foree first. AJ Jacobs saying it's not good for the game. Is that going to work, bro? There's Daz. Yeah, it's a bit confusing, but the 7 points, because it happened after the try was scored, they aren't going to cancel out the try, but instead it will be from the halfway line. They will end up with the penalty in favour of the Stormers. Okay, so that's the go. It may have sounded confusing, but pretty much the gist is they still get to take this kick at the posts. It could make it 13 points. And then from there, they then have the penalty on the halfway line for the Stormers. That still looks like a try for Yarpinke. They can give a try and then give a penalty to the opposite side, says Dad. So pretty much it's because Yarpinke got the ball down, try all good, but then after that, Werner Koch went in and tried to take Dion Foree off the ball. So that's where the problem started with the bit of a scrap that almost happened. Yeah, penalty to the Stormers on the halfway line. They might not consider the three. I think they'll go for the corner. And also, we have got the I mentioned earlier on that he was angry one moment, calm the next. That is a wonky kick, unfortunately, just away to the right hand side for the Sharks. So the score will remain 26 points to 11. Oh, I understand, still not worth a penalty. There's Daz there. And also, we need them. There's a roll off. Now 22 minutes remain in this one. Now, referee's trying to explain to everyone that it's a penalty. And don't worry, roll off. Stormers will win. Allies Cape Town wind blown. Them away Sharks going to swim in deep water. And it's that stupid behaviour that keeps Cock Cock, in my opinion, put off bot contention. I believe that is. But yeah, he's a bit too much of a hazard to have out there, which sounds weird to say. Because at times he seems like the nicest bloke around. Then other times he just seems like he's very angry, which sometimes you need in a player, but maybe not when there's nothing happening out there and it's off the ball. The ref doesn't even know what's happening, says Daz there. But now it will be JJ Klitsia with the line out throw for the Stormers. Nicely taken to the front by Ruben van Heerden. On close to the touchline now. They'll have to be a bit careful that they don't go too far to the side. Now that is very close. But it has bounced out the back to Herschel Yankees. Now a big crash up from Ngumezulu. All has been called as available. Now Yankees again goes across to the right-hand side. Almost stolen the breakdown. Herschel Yankees now goes off the money. Lebach tried to go for the kick in behind. Nice work. No, it's not. It was a missed attempt there, and they're going back. It is a penalty against Yapinke for playing the ball on the ground. Now the Stormers, I believe, will kick this one for the corner once again. Anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Sorry, I'm stupid autocorrect. Keeps editing my text is burning lash. No worries. I think I got the gist of it, though, didn't I? I think that's just from reading so much chat, you kind of start to put it together in your head. Even if you're kind of skimming some messages, you start to know what's to go in them type thing. It's currently almost 3 a.m. here in New Zealand. It feels later for some reason. I think it's because I was up early today to play that cricket match that never took place, sadly. The rain stopped it. There's going to be a semi-final, and we were going to have to play extremely well to win it, but now we get gifted a spot in the final. Just doesn't feel right. I feel like I much would have rather gone out there, and if we had lost, we lose, but if we had won, would have felt a lot better. He did says Burning Lash, and Yankees, the pivotal player, holds them all together. Is a roof. Of course, we are talking Herschel, Elton, the box, not so much. Now another rolling maul. Getting closer here. Looks like Vincent Tchulka trying to go straight through the middle. Hasn't been able to do so. And now only a couple meters short. That looks very close, but the ball's in touch, and it's going to be a knock-on in the process. Now another scrum in this matchup, but this time it's a scrum feed for the Sharks rather than for the Stormers. It looks like Dion Fourie. Does he have an injury here, or is he just taking a rest? Maybe talking tactics. All on his back. Like they said, the rolling maul, it looked good for a start, but then it just started looking a little bit more like players were just going in different places for the sake of it, which is never an effective maul attempt. Be consuming some water. I have a question. Ladies and gentlemen, where is Evan Ruiz? Now, I believe he's injured. How long is he out for? Because he's been away for quite some time. Let's not talk about Elton, says Daz. And all of Werner Cox Sevens jerseys were stolen of his container in 2021. That's why he is angry. Reward of 100,000 Rand has been offered. The information leading to the recovery. Yeah, that was a sad story that they did end up stealing every single one of his Sevens kits. And they never found it, did they? And just love the fantastic commentary. Hamish, keep me smiling, says Ruth. Do appreciate you being here, Ruth. Of course. I hope you are enjoying those last few hours of work for yourself. Currently 17 minutes remaining. I've just realized I have a grocery order arriving tomorrow morning, today. I will be awake. It might arrive during a Sevens matchup. Good question. Where is Evan Ruiz? Says Daz. I thought he was injured, but is he just hiding? Surely not. He'd be a hard man to hide because he's bloody tall, isn't he? But I haven't seen him on the sidelines or anything. And the Ulster game was bad for Evan Ruiz. Dwayne says Jacques. Now breaking off the back, big shot. on Pepsi Buthelezi, who came off the bench with that 6-2 split. Well, the Sharks, where's Herschel Yankees come from? Somehow he was able to get down there. Oh, that's a terrible knock on from Hudsonberg. He's laughing about it. I mean, Kevin Van Fidden's not laughing because he's realised it's going to be another scrum for the 15th time. But yeah, Herschel Yankees was quick as getting through the middle of that one. And yeah, that 35-5 loss for the Stormers, says Daz. Kick something. That was a light. Luckily, the light has 3 legs on the tripod rather than just the one. 16 minutes remain. If the Sharks score now and convert, they'll be 8 points behind. And I feel like that would make this game just that little bit more intriguing for the final few moments. And they've got the ball now. Scrum feed, Grant Williams. Penalty goes away of the Sharks again. I think they're going to kick this one downfield well. It's exhausting working with customers. Some days wonderful, others guru, but okay, otherwise thanks. Says Ruth. I remember when I used to work at a supermarket, which makes me sound like this was ages ago, but it's not too far away. It was well, actually no, it was about 5 years ago working at the supermarket. I used to do everything. Like I'm talking, I used to do the chillers, the freezers, checkout, did the breaks, did the trolley run, had to fill up the alcohol and the milk. I swear I was the only one there. Yeah, this is like a biggish supermarket where like there should have been other people doing stuff, which I feel like is exactly what our mindset has been for the commentary in a way. If I'm going to do something, I do it wholeheartedly rather than doing like a half job. Also, we have got there, Ivan Ruiz has been treated at the hospital in Johannesburg this week after collapsing on arrival. Airport from the Bok Tour of Europe, December 2022. Geez, that doesn't sound good. Now, Janse van Rensburg may have just scored, but I also think there might have been a knock on there. Might have been after he put the ball down. And knows how every team has won Ulster at home. There's Michael there. No, this score is fine. There's Daz. I think I might have jinxed it, Daz. He might have just scored straight away after we mentioned it. Janse van Rensburg breaks through, gets close. Yeah, he got it down, and then the ball ended up coming free after he had already scored it. So that makes this game a bit closer. To be exact, it's going to be an 8-point difference because the conversion should be nice and simple as well. Yeah, I wonder what that is with Evan Ruiz in terms of whether it's something to do with, I don't know, if you're collapsing, that's either something to do with either your brain, maybe he's got a long concussion or something like that. You didn't know, says Daz. And go Sharkies, yeah, says roll off. And I was at the Stormers Bulls match, 80 minutes of edge of the seat stuff, exactly what you want when you pay for the tickets. Would love this match to go down to the wire, but looks unlikely, says Burning Lash. Well, Burning Lash, I think me and you jinxed it big time. Positive. Here's Ruth. Yeah, Janse van Rensburg, just this very scary man to try and stop when he is in stride. And positive and full of energy. And do you get a knock off 1 hour early, says Nate to Ruth? Right, so now 8-point difference between these two sides. Could be one that does go down to the wire, like we mentioned. If the Sharks score next, boy, we've got a final 10 minutes on our hands. It's going to be kicked long. Nicely taken by Vincent Tchuka. Side of their own 22 at the moment, Sharks, and it looks like Grant Williams will once again roll this ball back into the pocket to Kerwin Bosch. Goes down the middle of the field. That's a risky tactic rather than finding touch or at least kicking it towards the sideline because now it's a counter attack for the Stormers. Zulu with the counter, and it's going to be Herschel Yankees knocks the ball on 5 meters out from the line. And here I'm trying not to jinx. Oh, I'm trying to jinx it. No, don't say that. Says Daz, please, Sharks don't score. Yeah, what the Stormers almost got themselves one back there, but just ended up missing out with the offload of Herschel Yankees, which did go to the ground rather than to the hands. And never guess what we get now. It's another scrum. And Van Rensburg Was in great loss for the Lions, but the Sharks pay their players, says Roloff there. Speaking of them, they are going to be playing in the next matchup. The Bulls versus the Lions. Even collapsed the result of painkillers for broken ribs and not eating on the flight, says Denver. Okay, so if that was in December, do you know whether how long those broken ribs are keeping him out for? Because I know the Stormers haven't been playing him. So is there something else, like another injury in there that might be causing him to not play Denver? Supervisors are always that on making sure we clock off at the exact time. No chance of that, Nate. I work for a Frenchman. Every minute counts business wise. Says Roof now. It's going to be fired back into the pocket again to Kerwin Bosch, who does have to clear his lines. Once again, doesn't find touch. And the back three of the Stormers will look to attack Clayton Blomikis. Good low tackle made on him. I believe that would have been, was that Reniel Hiku? No, it was actually the Andre Lavaskachne. It goes into touch there. Unsuccessful. Doesn't find Ruan Nell's hands. Box protocol, as most box rested, says Denver. Okay. Did he go on that box training camp in the end, Denver, or did he miss out on that one as well? Didn't they have a little short, was it 2 or 3 weeks? Or is that still coming up? I have a lot of questions, Denver. But you seem like the guy who will be able to answer them. These two teams are like Oprah. You get a scrum, you get a scrum. Everybody gets a scrum. Yeah. Been a lot of them. That's the forward pass. So it's probably going to be another scrum. It's time for the Sharks. Yeah, Ruan now not happy at all with that pass. I agree, Denver. These player schedules are brutal. Says roll off. Yeah, when you consider that the Curry Cup, when does it start? It's only about a week and a bit away, isn't it? Curry Cup. So you've got the Curry Cup, the URC, the Champions Cup, international level. Like, there's a lot to do for these South African players. And you wonder whether or not, to a certain extent, having the Champions Cup alongside the URC and the Curry Cup is, in some cases, just too much for some of these South African guys. Like, it's going to be good to build depth because we're going to see a lot of changes in the teams. But, yeah, you don't want to see players getting injured in the matches. Like a very good crowd at Cape Town Stadium, though, for this matchup. Next game will be Vodacom Bulls taking on the Emirates Lions. Now, we won't be covering that one on the channel. Feel bad to say, but it's going to be an exciting one. Exactly who ends up getting themselves to win. Every dollar counts. A Frenchman paying. Here's Blues Nate. Oh, in fact, I've chosen the line out there, so it won't be the scrum. Instead, the line out is the best choice. Now, Kieran van Vieren waiting for this one at the back. Going forward just a little bit more for the Shark. Cameraman has to dodge a few players who did find their way into touch. Nancy van Rensburg once again dragged down, and Grant Williams will go for another box kick. He's been told to use it. Instead, actually goes back to Kerwin Bosch. Has been taken back straight down the middle of the field again to Clayton Blomikis. Will put the ball I believe Sinutla was in front of him there. And they might have to go back and have a look at that one. But instead, Bjorta Chamberlain takes it nicely. I think that easily could have been a penalty to the Sharks way up the field. Like, I'm talking 40 meters. They will get a penalty here anyway. They take the quick tap and they decide to take it on. That's going to be another advantage. This time they've got him for offside. And, this is going to be a yellow card for Sinutla. Now I kind of feel bad because I feel like I dobbed on him for that other one. And now he's going to find himself. Oh, no, it's Sunday. Okay, I don't mind too much then. I'm not too sure. Conditioning for the World Cup. Priority for I always struggle to say his name. Nainaba. I've butchered that. Springbok coach reports in the SA newspapers this week. Are you showing Leinster match in the morning, says Michael. They actually aren't showing it here in New Zealand, which sucks because I wanted to see them play Edinburgh, as I think that would be a good match. But yeah, sadly, we only get certain games on New Zealand TV. Like, we've got Spark Sports, so they show the South African games. And then normally if Leinster are playing another Irish team, like Leinster Munster or Leinster Ulster, they will show us those games as well. But yeah, sadly not on New Zealand TV. So I can only really watch the highlights of that one. Sharks are owned by the US businessman. This year's World Cup will be interesting. Certainly will. Top 4 sides in the world. Grant Williams goes straight through. He's going to be able to get the try for the Sharks. And this game could be separated by 1 point. Williams, he might have hurt himself in the process. Looks like he can hardly stand. His team are huddling around him. I think he's done his knee. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to continue this game, but this one will be going down to the absolute wire. Ladies and gentlemen, Grant Williams finds the gap, scores the try. We said we wanted to see a close game, and it just seems like they're going to do it. And I'm like the Stormers, I'm wild and loud while I'm here at home. I'm in bed. Well, I'm on the bed or couch. Oh, yeah, might have actually been. Wait a minute. That might have been a foot tripped attempt from Sinutla there. They're going to be going upstairs. I think Sinutla will find himself in the bin now. 10 minutes off the field. Stormers playing with 13. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's ever been a time for the Sharks to win a game away from home at Cape Town Stadium, it is this one. That was a long sentence. Better breathe. What a comeback. I was ready to tune out, says Michael. And good try for the Sharks, says Roof. Stormers are battling, make some noise, Roof. Says 19. Yes, Sharks. Whoop, whoop. Roll off. Yeah, Grant Williams, his night is done. Believe Cameron Wright will be now continuing this match. 2 yellow cards, though, for the Stormers. What a game now. Yellow card and try Sharks. Second yellow card. 13-man Stormers, says John. Yeah, not an ideal outcome for them because they will not be back to 15 for the last 7 minutes of this contest. Now, 17 games in a row. They have won at the stadium, the Stormers. That is an impressive record that now has the chance of being broken. Need to charge my phone. I'll be back tomorrow to watch the 7, says Dad. So we will see you then. First match that we are doing, Fiji versus Great Britain. And that game will be taking place at 9:42 a.m. New Zealand time. Please pull it through, Stormers, says Denver. I'm thrilled at all the extra international rugby at provincial level South Africa is playing. It is going to build depth, just like Indian cricket benefits from the IPL, says Burning Lash. And thanks, Nate. Hope they don't throw it away, the Stormers, says Roof. And the thing is, Sharks now, if they score another try, they will walk away with 5 points in this game rather than 4 if they do manage to win it. Cameron Wright now kicks it downfield. Currently, both sides walking away with plenty of points. Stormers would have 1. The Sharks would have 1 in terms of the bonus points. And the winner of this game will get 4. The Stormers coach looking nervous. He's out of his seat. Or is he? Yeah, he's going to leave. Where's he going? He's trying to beat the afternoon rush. Get on a bus quickly. JJ Kutsia about to throw this one. Looks like the Stormers strategically slowing this game down. Not a bad play at all. If they score now, they take this game away from the Sharks. Up against a 13-man side. They're missing a forward, missing their prop, that is, and also missing a winger. Ruben van Heerden. I'm going to roll this one forward. Uses up time, which is exactly what the Stormers need to do if they want to win. JJ Kutsia still at the back. Still walking forward here very nicely for the Stormers. Almost going straight through the middle there. Is that Andre Labaskakny? Oh, AJ Jacobs almost put up the arm the wrong way, but it will now be a scrum feed for the Sharks. That was brilliantly done. Now, I gave credit to Labaskakny, but I believe that was Emil van Heerden who actually managed to get that turnover. Now, what do they do at scrum time? They're missing a prop. So they will have to make another sub, which then takes a different player off their field. So Nedeling Fouchier back out on the field. Vermaak is still not coming back. So it's going to be Brock Harris, JJ Kutsia, and also the Johan Nedeling Fouchier as the front row. And time for individual brilliance, says Burning Lash. Exactly right. Our comment before the match, or in fact about 30 minutes through the match, was if this game goes down to the wire, those last 5 to 10 minutes, whoever makes the least mistakes will end up winning. Who's half will be in, please, Hamish? We are currently inside of Sharks territory. And it is going to be a Sharks scrum feed on their own 22. Cameron Wright recently making his way out onto the field, replacing Grant Williams. Now, neither side really benefit from a draw here, you'd say, but if the offer's there for the Sharks to take, they might consider it. Now, Kerwin Bosch this time looking for the touchline. It was taken back, though. The one time Kerwin Bosch actually decides to kick it into touch is the one time he's not allowed to. That's a big mistake because not only does that use up the time that it takes to have that rolling maul again if the Stormers go to it, it uses up the time that they are now using in their huddle, which they can't huddle for too long or else they'll end up giving away a free kick. They need to be very careful. There we go. They've been told, let's go. Almost too much time taken by the Stormers. They always talk about now with the new rules that they want to try and shut down on any extra time that's being used in a game. Now, too long left in the contest at all, ladies and gentlemen. If you are new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It's going to be the line out throw successful now for the Stormers, looking for that final try. The thing is, if they score now and no other points are scored throughout this matchup, that would mean that the Sharks lose their losing bonus point. Walk away from this game with nothing. Now break it off the back. JJ Kutsia lined up by Fenta. They put in the big hit on him. Now Van Rijn again, 5 meters out from the line. Now the Stormers, they'll be looking to get themselves a penalty here relatively soon because then they can use that minute of advantage and then go for the kick instead. But Blomekis with the kick in behind. It sits up. It's dropped by Hudson-Berg. He has not held on to anything today. And that was the golden opportunity to win the game for the Stormers, and Hudson-Berg has blown it. Yellow card's not great. Sharks can creep up and swallow the Stormers. Yankees, Lavaskachny. Yeah, go on, boys. There's roof. And never tune out in the URC. Things happen. Mad stuff, Ted, says John. I mean, just look at that Munster versus Scarlets game. 49 points to 42. There wouldn't have been a moment in that game that it didn't look like someone was scoring, but that was Hudson-Berg's try to score and Hudson-Berg's game to win. But he didn't take the opportunity when it arose. And now the Sharks, 5 meters out from their own line, will have themselves another scrum feed. We've had plenty of them throughout this game. Both sides used to it by now. The Stormers cheerleaders trying to get their side fired up. Like they said, still time ticking away. Cock, redeem yourself. Some sevens magic is needed, says Burning last year. For the Sharks to win this game, they are going to have to travel 95 meters in 55 seconds. And that is not including the more time that we are using now to put the scrum feed down. As soon as the Stormers get the ball, they'll be kicking this ball into touch no matter what. Because at the end of the day, they'll get the 5 points. And that's all they'll care about. They won't care that they give the Sharks 1 point there. See, crowd absolutely loving this game so far. Now the ball about to be fed in for Cameron Wright. Big push from the Sharks early on at scrum time. It's like it's not going anywhere. So Cameron Wright, terrible pass into the post. And that's going to be probably the game. Or is it? He's gone down. It's taken back by the Sharks. There'll be frustration. That was an absolutely shocking pass from Cameron Wright. I think even an injured Grant Williams would have done a better job with that one. And Stormers clean sweep in the URC. There's the South African URC, and Hudson-Berg needs super glue on his hands. What a drop, says Roof. And damn, I'm stressing here, says Daz. The thing is, the Stormers are now going to be 5 meters out from the Sharks line. And there was a massive shot put in by the goalpost on Port Gaita. He actually ended up running straight into it, smack bang, and it slowed him down. As it would, it was solid. Yeah, they've got a chance here, Stormers, to take away a point off a South African side. Do they want to, though? That's the bigger question. They're 5 meters out from the try line of the Sharks. For them to kick it into touch here, I think would get actually quite a large boo from the Cape Town crowd, but they'd understand why they're doing it as well in the process. They don't want to have the chance of the Sharks sneaking away with a win with a bit of a mistake. Like I mentioned, anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. This game is going down to the wire. We are after full time now. 81 minutes through, no return for the Stormers in terms of those numbers. They have made their way to the bin. Total of 2 players. Now, it is going to be Herschel Yankees. Feeding the ball in now for the Stormers. It's a shaky scrum. Bulls looking for the big push. One stable scrum, and the Stormers will win it. Does Herschel Yankees go for the attack and stolen off the back? No, it's going to be the penalty to the Stormers. Now, the question is, what do you do here? Because getting the 3 points still gives the Sharks that opportunity to get those extra points. Unfair and not happy there. And cheers, Roof, solid game down to the wire, says Nate. And that was what we were asking for. We wanted to see a game go absolutely last minute. Do they just take the easy 3 points or do they kick the ball into touch? It seems like maybe kicking the ball into touch might be the way to do it. No, they're going to take on the 3. I guess that makes sense. At the end of the day, it's an extra 3 points that might make the difference for their points differential. But Cameron Wright waited for that ball. Then he picked it up off Herschel Yankees. Fortunately, not allowed to do that. And that's what you call a nail biter. Exactly right now, Money Libok. All he has to do is boot this ball over. He is successful, and the Storm is victorious in the match over the Sharks. 29 points to 23. Close finish there between these two sides, ladies and gentlemen. The Stormers, the start of this game seemed like they should have been able to walk away with it comfortably due to those 3 quick succession tries that they were able to get for themselves. The Sharks, though, they fought back in that second half, and with 13 Stormers out on the field by the end, it looked like there was a chance for them to be able to walk away with it, but just little mistakes did end up costing them. What a freaking game. There's Dan that's involved 20 scrums. But it's part of the game, isn't it? A lot of knocked on balls in this matchup. A lot of pressure being put on by both of these sides. So take the 3 points and sign it. It says it's a Roof. And also good game, says Roloff. And just been for a walk with my wife. Shock and horror. Come back to see that I've missed a good second half, says Joss Pike. Possession 50-50 throughout this game. Penalties conceded 15 against the Sharks, 9 against the Stormers. Meters made extremely even. Tackles made extremely even. This game was a seesaw and could have easily gone either way for these two sides. And thanks for the commentary. Blessed weekend all, says Denver. Right back at you, mate. If you do enjoy the rest of the weekend, there is a game between the Bulls and the Lions taking place in just a little bit of time. We won't be covering that one, unfortunately, even though I'm very fired up now after watching that matchup between these two South African sides. But yeah, we'll have to get some sleep. We're currently sitting 3:30 a.m. here in New Zealand, and we do start our live streams at 9 a.m. or so, 9:30 tomorrow morning. But that was a game worth watching. I feel like sleep deprivation is all right when you've watched a cracker of a match. And that was an absolutely awesome game going down to the wire. Happy with the Sharks fight back. I bodes well for the future, says Burning Lash. And they also walk away from this game with a bonus point, which is something else that they will very much enjoy, because we look at the table now, that actually puts them up the same points as the Bulls. Yes, the Bulls still have the points differential, but the Sharks now sitting on the same points as another South African side. Press the like button for Hamish and the Kiwi lads. Thanks, mate, for the service you provide. No worries at all. Sweet dreams, Hamish. There's Burning Lash. I'm sure I'll get to see some of you guys tomorrow for either the Sevens, maybe Super Rugby, something. There, thanks, buddy. Go well, says Jux. Right back at you, mate. See you tomorrow, man. Enjoy your early morning sleep, says Daz. And also, let's pry, says Roloff. Stormers nearly blew it. They did. They were close to messing that one up, but they just managed to hang on. I mentioned about Leinster earlier on, how they're a side that managed to find a way to win. Stormers proved just then that they are also one of those sides, and you'll definitely see me, says Daz, and there as well. But thank you all very much for tuning into this live stream. Like I mentioned, if you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It is hugely appreciated, you guys all being here for this late night stream. And we got plenty more URC, plenty more Sevens, Super Rugby, NRL, cricket, you name it. We're covering it on the channel, so be sure to stick around. But thank you all very much for tuning in. I will see you all for the next one.